Hey kids, Mark here at the Action Figuratorium. I am an owner, operator of a commercial video studio in Southeast Portland where we shoot music videos or infomercials, but I am also a toy collector and an eBayer and a junkie of thrift stores, and also sometimes I'm in the back of my studio here doing some toy photography. And that is why today I'm going to be making my fourth HasLab video where I'm going to be talking about the failure of the Rancor project to get funding, as it's actually losing backers. But more importantly, we're going to talk a little bit about the cult of HasLab itself. So stick around. This is going to be fab-tastic. All right, we are back after that disturbing display of much too long of an intro. New intro, next season coming up. Stick around, you'll love it. Okay, let's get to the topic at hand for this episode, this Toy Talk episode, I should say, of a combination of Rancor, will it fail, and the cult of HasLab, as well as predictions of how they're going to phoenix this thing later for positive PR and have one of their best sellers. Is that a spoiler? Who knows? So let's talk about whether or not this project, this Star Wars Black Series Rancor, is going to fund or not. Hold on here, I love to get the page up so we can look at it. So 57 backers. It was over 5,000 at one point. It is dropping. Why is it dropping? It's dropping because they displayed what this thing looks painted. No one cares. And they showed off some more of the tier bonuses if you get up to like 19,000 of these units sold. Again, when we see where it says backers, I'm assuming that that is an individual sale. So if you buy 5, that's 5 backers. If that is an individual person and each one of those persons is buying multiples, well, who knows actually how many numbers. So I'm just under the assumption that every one of these backers is a Rancor. So what they did is they released what are bonuses again, and everybody said, no, these are crap. And as a way of pushing back, so to speak, people began to cancel their order, and the numbers started dropping, and it created some kind of a crazy reverse piranha fury of people eating their way out of this thing. Really exciting. And we're going to talk a little bit about that specifically. But first of all, it needs about 4,000 or so to hit their market for them to go into production with this. Chances of it being funded, I would say, are 20% to 80% not funded, and there could be a campaign, save the Rancor at the last minute, and a bunch of people just flood in and buy this because they want to see it hit the mark. They don't want to let HasLab down. But I think that this is actually a device. Unbeknownst to HasLab, they didn't know this was coming, I don't think. But this is being used as a device for people in the cult of HasLab to push back on their sort of mentors. They are the Rancor pushing back on their keeper, so to speak. And if you're wondering, well, he keeps saying the cult of HasLab. What could that possibly mean? Well, the cult of HasLab is basically anybody who buys into buying one of these HasLab projects. That is, it's a special club. It's an owner's club, like people who own a certain type of car, who collect a certain type of, fine thing, like that, a select group. And to be in the club, all you got to do is buy your way in by buying something. And if you want to get further into the club, and if you want to get further up the ranks, you buy more. You back every single one. So if you think about it, people who are in a cult, right, they keep buying more and more and more of these things that they keep coming out. And eventually what happens is HasLab, which is a corporation, you know, or folded into a corporation, a Hasbro, these guys just, it's just sales, right? That's just, no, we make a product, we have one every quarter, we try to hit these numbers, you know. It's all statistics, it's spreadsheets for these guys. But for people on the other end who are like opening up their wallets and buying these things, they keep purchasing more and more of these. And when this one came along, they're using it as a way for them to kind of, to still stay in the cult, right? They're like, oh, I did my part, I backed it, but no one else did and it failed, so it's not me. And for the people who don't back it, who are like, you know, saying, nah, don't want to do this, they're using these excuses of like the tiers are lame, you know? It's like, let me tell you something, guys, the tiers of these HasLab projects so far to this point have all been lame, every single one of them. And I've explained it why. The main reason is that these are companies that make and sell action figures, and they sell action figures all the time. And they're just going to give you some action figures with them. And that's like, you know, a florist saying, yeah, we'll give you some flowers, right? No, give me something else. Give me the statue that goes with these flowers, that kind of thing. You know, I want the extra piece specific to this thing. And that's why, you know, when it came up that they were giving you some bones and people were like, oh, and the little diorama thing, I thought that was the cooler thing they had done so far. Only that, you know, you could argue like, well, you should just that stuff just come with it, you know. In fact, the bones could have been cardboard that you punched out or something. They could even be glow-in-the-dark bones, you know. These guys have the imagination of like, I don't know, I would say it's like the dumbest toy company on the planet, but on some of the stuff, it's like, if you're gonna go cheap, then like innovate your cheapness. And if you're gonna like show people that like you've got a golden chariot, then show them it, right? But the main thing is that the people who belong to this cult of HasLab, who buy themselves up to the rank, you know, eventually probably trying to get to high priest by owning absolutely everything in multiples, right? Like, I've got a Rancor in every room, there's one in the bathroom, that kind of thing. Those guys, right? You know, sure, this is an excuse, this is a way for these guys to, to push back and say, no, we're not going to absorb absolutely every single thing that you're throwing at us. We can't. And this is proof of that right here. And so I don't think this is going to fund, personally. That's why I give it the 2080. And I think that people really actually want to, in fact, for a sort of like kind of, you know, cleansing, they need to see this thing fail so they're not obligated to throw down another $350 or $700 for something like this. But you never know. I mean, people come at the last minute and they'll snatch up 10,000 of anything. You know, maybe some crazy, weird offshore investor, you know, a Japanese guy or a Chinese company or a you know, Taiwanese, some, you know, billionaire or something might just buy 10,000 of these to, like, you know, go to market with a product that all the fans said, no, we don't like it because it doesn't come with the right action figures. It comes with these other action figures, that kind of thing. So if this thing is not funded, then where can we expect it to go? Now, some people have said that the figures are probably already kind of done and that they can release them and they can slip them in to different waves later on, that kind of thing. I think what they're going to do is they're going to wait a pretty substantial amount of time and they're going to relaunch this later. They're going to let it, you know, they're going to try to kill any press, negative press about this, not because they don't want the negative press, but because they want the clock to start ticking as soon as possible on letting people forget this so that they can go on to relaunching it later. The sooner we forget, the sooner they can relaunch it. And when they relaunch it, they're going to do some updates. They're they're probably not going to do much of the update to the figure itself, but they're definitely going to update the tiers. They're going to probably maybe even one-up what people are expecting. They're probably going to, you know, and all for PR, all with this like, fans, we heard you, we listened, here's your Rancor keeper guy. Easily done, you know, easily done. What do they care? It's a hunk of plastic. But if you want it, trust me, they'll find a way to get it to you. So this is what I'm predicting, is that they're probably going to come out with this thing in a year, and they're going to update all the tiers to it, and they're going to do a little something to it to where it's essentially the same thing, but they're probably going to take it down to $2.99, with the idea being that they're going to get that many more people who jump on that will hit all the tier bonuses, and they'll make the real money by once it scales past a certain amount of time. And so this thing is a no-brainer that that clearly, you know, with the amount of work they've done, that they're just going to like throw it in the trash. Although that does happen, we are we're long past that point in corporate America, though. These people have franchised and rebooted everything and anything in the worst possible ways. Have we asked for it? I hope not. Anyways, that's all for this episode of the Toy Talks. If you think that this was demeaning to anybody, it's not. I'm trying to uplift everybody and just see that we can all have a good time looking at the stuff and having a good guffaw with it later. So we'll see you real soon.